So in this video, we will discuss about the shoulder impingement syndrome. So firstly, we will identify where this impingement is occurring. So first impingement we are talking about here is in the subacromial space in the coracoacromial arch. So we have this shoulder joint here. We have the acromion process, we have the distal clavicle, coracoid and the glenohumeral joint. So we have a coracoacromial ligament which forms a coracoacromial arch, forming a subacromial space beneath the acromion process. So this subacromial space, it has a supraspinatus tendon which is a part of rotator cuff muscles, and it has a bursa in it. So impingement occurring in this region of the supraspinatus tendon and the bursa is known as the subacromial impingement syndrome. So we have classified into primary and secondary. In the primary, disease process is inside the subacromial space or the coracoacromial arch itself, and in secondary it is outside the coracoacromial arch. So in primary, we have again classified into intrinsic and the extrinsic types. So in intrinsic type, it will be the structures of the subacromial space that are diseased, but in extrinsic type, the overall space from the walls will be decreased. So we have the two types of the primary impingement. We have the intrinsic and the extrinsic type. In intrinsic type, there is tendinopathy of the supraspinatus, calcific tendinitis, and the subacromial bursitis, means the contents are itself diseased. In extrinsic type, we have the walls which have decreased the space for the tendon and the bursa. So this can be because of subacromial spur, acromial fracture, or sacromial, any arthritis in this region, or exostosis of the greater tuberosity. So talking about here the extrinsic type, so we have the three types of the acromion process. So we have the flat type, where the undersurface is flat. We have the type 2 which is curved, and type 3 which is hooked type. So maximum in type 3, we very commonly found a impingement syndrome, which is extrinsic primary subacromial impingement syndrome. Now talking about the secondary, in secondary the cause doesn't lie in the coracoacromial arch, it lies in the glenohumeral joint. So this glenohumeral joint, it is unstable, so which will cause the superior or anterior subluxation of the joint, which will decrease the space in this region. So this was about the subacromial impingement. The other two type of impingement are the subcoracoid and the internal impingement. So subcoracoid can be again of two types, idiopathic and iatrogenic. So this is the cut section. This forms the humerus. This is the coracoid process, and this is the glenoid. So we know that over the lesser tuberosity, we have the attachment of subscapularis tendon. So any impingement in this region by the coracoid, in the subcoracoid space of the subscapularis tendon, will lead to the subcoracoid impingement. Now it can be of idiopathic or iatrogenic. Idiopathic can be because of the deformity of the coracoid process again, and in iatrogenic it because of the fracture or any coracoid osteotomy which we have done can lead to the impingement of the tendon in this region. Then talking about the internal impingement, so this impingement occurs only when our arm is at 90 degree of abduction and external rotation. So this impingement occurs while throwing a ball. So this occurs when we are trying to throw a ball at 90 degree of abduction and the external rotation. So causes of this impingement is we have the partial rotator cuff tears, we can have a posterior and the superior labral tears, or we can have an anterior shoulder laxity. So these are the three causes which can lead to the internal impingement. We can have the rotator cuff tears or the labral tears in the posterior and the superior region, which will get impinged while throwing a ball, and also in anterior shoulder laxity, the internal impingement can occur. Now talking about the various tests to diagnose this impingement syndrome, first is the knee impingement test. So in this test, our forearm is in pronation and we go for the forceful forward flexion of the arm at the shoulder joint with the stabilization of the scapula. So knee impingement sign is elicited when the patient's rotator cuff tendons are pinched under the coracoacromial arch. This test is performed by placing the arm in forced flexion with arm in full pronation. The scapula is stabilized during this maneuver to prevent any scapulothoracic motion. And pain in this motion is sign of the subacromial impingement. So this is the knee impingement sign. Second is the painful arc test. So in painful arc test, we tell the patient to go for the abduction. So patient will feel pain in the 60 to 120 degree of the abduction. So in the first 60 degree there will be no pain, and then on further progressing for the abduction there will be pain from 60 to 120 degree, and finally there will be no pain beyond the 120 degree. So this is because of the impingement in the subacromial region during the 60 to 120 degree of the abduction. Then we have the Hawking sign. Hawking sign is the forceful internal rotation of the shoulder. So it is performed by elevating the patient arm forward to 90 degree and then forcefully internal rotating the shoulder. So this maneuver again causes the impingement of the supraspinatus tendon in the subacromial arch, leading to the subacromial impingement and pain. So we go for the forceful internal rotation of the shoulder when the patient arm is at 90 degree of forward flexion. Third test, or the Job test, it is the supraspinatus muscle testing test. So it is the empty can test. We ask the patient at a 90 degree of abduction and 30 degree of forward flexion, thumb pointing downwards like we are emptying the can. So the forearm is in pronation, and at shoulder we have 90 degree of abduction for 30 degree of forward flexion. So we tell the patient to elevate against resistance. So in this test patient will experience pain if the patient is having any etiology, any pathology of the supraspinatus tendon or muscle. The last test to test the subacromial impingement is the Yoakum test. So in Yoakum test, we tell the patient to touch the contralateral shoulder, and then we tell the patient to lift the elbow upwards. So with the examiner standing behind the patient and the hand on the ipsilateral shoulder, and the hand on the ipsilateral side of the examining shoulder is placed on the contralateral shoulder. The elevation of the elbow is then resisted by the examination. So when the result is positive, this test produces pain by the contact of the bursal side of the cuff tendon with the coracoacromial ligament. So basically, we ask the patient to put his hand over the contralateral shoulder if this is the diseased shoulder, and tell the patient to against the resistance to forcefully uplift the elbow joint. So patient will experience pain if the patient is having subacromial impingement. Now to test for the subcoracoid impingement, so we know that in this the subscapularis tendon is getting impinged. So subscapularis tendon function is to go for the internal rotation of the arm. So we will do our test to restrict the internal rotation, and patient will experience pain. And in internal impingement, to check the internal impingement, we will go for the while the patient was experiencing pain in 90 degree of abduction and external rotation. So we will elicit the same throwing maneuver again, and the patient will experience pain in this maneuver. So this was about a brief introduction to the impingement syndrome.